Okay, so thanks a lot. I leave you with my colleague Christianne Reinsch for the pitching session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Xavier, for the introduction. Yeah, welcome everyone to the Celtic online pitching session. I am Celtic Program Coordinator within the Celtic Next cluster, and as you already saw, this afternoon we will see 15 project pitches. They are coming from different countries. We have presenters from Sweden, Finland, France, Israel, Turkey, South Africa as well, United Kingdom, and Poland. So this is a quite good distribution. So the pitches have different advances. Some have already found some partners, some are still actively really searching to enrich their consortium. And yeah, I will like to shortly introduce to you how this session is working and how the consortium sessions are working. So the pitch presenters will be called according to the following order. And you can assess all these ideas already online. So please visit now, if you have time, this website so that you can directly probably already save the scheduled consortium building sessions. They are going to be planned on the 14th to the 20th of March. When you assess the site that I already showed or the event page itself, all the publications are already published. And you see here on the right side, the consortium building sessions will start on the 14th of March at 9 o'clock with the project pitch SafeShore, followed up by started from Olivier, Marce, and so on. So on the 14th, we will have 3 follow-up consortium building sessions. And the purpose of this meeting is that you join this as actively as possible. Also, as a pitch presenter, you are invited to participate in other pitches that are of interest to you, to understand if there could be probably a joint consortium building. So this could be probably really the case that you identify today, which partner could be also of interest to you, and then you just participate. And the other participants, if you don't have the chance to get your question answered today, please join these consortium building sessions. This is a very helpful opportunity to just discuss the project and potential future collaboration. When you click on the website then on Save the Date, it's opening up a calendar entry that you can save in your calendar with the connection details, or you click on the pitch itself, then you scroll on the last side and you get the connection details of the presenter or the consortium building session itself. Once again, here is the site where you can access the information. So please don't hesitate to visit it. And please keep in mind that the deadline for our spring call is on the 3rd of May, but there's also the possibility to participate in the autumn call if you are not yet ready with your project proposal. Yeah, you can also contact me, but now I would like to switch directly to the first presenter. This is a presentation from Mr. Ian Marsh from Rice, Sweden. He tries to reduce the vulnerability in IT systems with enhanced AI solutions. So please, Ian.
Quick question, will you advance the slides?
Yes, if you say next slide, I will advance the slides.
I hope.
And we will take 2 questions, 1 to 2 questions per presentation at the end. And you can unmute yourself then if you have a question. Okay, so please, the floor is yours.
Yes, hello, my name is Ian Marsh. I am English, as you can probably hear, masquerading as a Swede after 27 years. A little bit about me. And I can say one thing, that I participated in a Celtic Next flagship project, and it was excellent. So here we go again, around to propose a new idea. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, I know we have only 6 minutes. The idea is basically to close the gap between system log files. So systems are becoming ever more complex. They print all of these messages, and what the operator knows what the system is doing. this comes from the needs of a very large telecommunications company. I think you can probably guess who that might be, given where I am. But what happens is they get these tickets issued, and then they go and look through these log files and try to determine the cause. So basically, you have this very structured data, log files, print log files, and you have this human-rich data, which is basically knowledge about the system. So the idea is, can we use AI and a few particular parts of AI, and I'll be a bit more specific, to close this gap? Next slide, please. Perhaps this slide should have gone first, but this is RISE, the National Research Institute of Sweden. It's relatively new, unlike Fraunhofer, which has been around for a long time. And the idea is basically to help and promote Swedish research. Obviously, Sweden has very large companies, Scania, Volvo, Ericsson, you know them all, Spotify. So our job really is to help Swedish industries more applied. Someone jokingly said, what does RISE do? And I sort of said, everything except mathematics and nuclear science. I'm not so sure that's true, but it does a lot of stuff with 3,300 people. Next slide, please. So about closing this gap, typically you have these tickets where something is wrong in a system, and you have these files. So if you can introduce natural language processing to process the human knowledge, or I know port 83 is broken, don't worry about the log files, and use clever indexing, something like Elasticsearch does, if people know that or they don't, clever indexing on the print files, then you can bring these things closer together. There's a little bit of magic in between. I don't want to divulge everything that we've been doing, but the idea is that basically tickets that circulate around the system are not being forwarded from person to person. They can even rule out things, right? This, I know it's not port 883 here. That's just buggy and prints lots of messages. And the thing to remember is the log files can be gigabytes, even terabytes, and the human knowledge can be a string or a knowledge or an expert. And that's not a trivial task, but we have ideas how to do that. Next slide, please. So one thing about doing proposals is you kind of find your friends, and then you have an idea, then it goes round, and then you do some marrying and you do some chopping. But I would like to start in this pitch to do the opposite. Is let's just start with exactly what we want. Less bugs in the system. The next step will be a traceable system. The next thing is match the known failures in a system compared to what is known. Structure the logs, I mentioned that. Learn from the data, and I really mean learn here, that's not a buzzword. Validate any system. It doesn't necessarily need to be AI. It can be time series analysis. It can be other methods as well. And then find your partners, right? Sometimes we do a partner search first and then say, oh, what's the problem? So it's very clear what I'm proposing here. If you or anybody you know can participate in those words between the arrows, then do let me know. Next slide, please. So obviously, RISE is a large organization. We have a CyberRidge. We can log that data. We can start to do this process. I'm also looking for external people. We have to build a consortium, given what was said this morning about the countries. So we can already bring this. We can almost certainly bring in large companies, and I mentioned a couple of them. But we need to build partners in other countries. I'm already talking to countries, partners in Finland, but other people as well are most welcome. Next slide. That's it. I'm not going to say more than that. I think you have the idea, and I can take some questions or pass on to the next presentation.
We also scheduled a consortium building session for you on the 18th of March, and everyone is invited to join at 1 o'clock. But if you have questions, you can also contact him. So if you have questions, please unmute yourself. We will take 1 to 2 questions.
Yes, I have a question. My name is Tuukka. I'm from Ribbon Communication in Israel. The term IT is, as you know, very general. There are lots of systems and equipment and networks within this IT or communication in IT. And eventually the AI algorithm need to be adapted to the type of IT network or machine that you're referring to. So this all for me is too general. What did you think about inside the IT? What is exactly about?
Yeah, so I didn't say that. This is telecommunications, 3G, 4G, 5G error messages and tickets. So for example, dual SIMs or eSIMs caused a lot of things to break. So quite often you're following the SIM card number and also the ESSID numbers. So in particular, we've looked at telecommunication systems, and some of that knowledge is specific. You're correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ellie, for the question. Is there another question? Are you building on existing technologies? Is there a basis where you can build on?
Yes. So the existing technologies comes from a large telecommunications company where we have basically data from them when they're doing root cause analysis. So I mentioned the case of dual SIMs and eSIMs. When systems, for example, when one telecommunications operator talks to another one, and it's not the same manufacturer, let's say company X and company Y, things break. So this is what we're basing on is root cause analysis. So can you trace back from what happened to specifically a position in usually a print message, something raised an alarm somewhere, and given the data, it's all anonymized. This is what we're building on. Yeah, it basically structures log files from systems in quite a clever way. Otherwise, it's just huge print messages, right? They're not very useful for anybody. So structured log processing and root cause analysis. This is the two technologies we've used before.
Okay, yeah, this is probably a very interesting basic technology where you can build up in the future even a lot more. I mean, yeah. Okay.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but probably we can discuss this in the follow-up sessions. So thank you for presenting. Then we will come to the next presentation. This is the presentation about Digital Twin for Regional Readiness Center, presented by Mr. Tuukka from Mesensei, Finland. I'm sorry for probably wrong pronouncing.
Right.
So you try to.
It's not probably the easiest.
Yeah.
It's
Yes, it's not. Okay, you will state it. But you have a quite ambitious goal. You would like to solve large-scale public emergency scenarios with your solution. So please.
Correct. Yes. Thank you, Christine. My name is Tuukka Ylälahti. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mesensei. We are a technology startup based in Otaniemi, Aalto University campus area. And I'm here to present a concept idea for digital twin for regional readiness center, or RRC 2.0 in short. Can I have the next slide, please? So the regional readiness centers are a way of Finnish municipalities to organize the legal responsibilities they have in civil protection and emergency response and resiliency. Finland has a long history in civil protection and civil defense, and obviously we still have a long history of maintaining a standing army of reservists. So Finland is well equipped to meet many kinds of different scenarios in disaster response, be they nature or man-made responses. And now the Regional Readiness Center is one of the latest concepts presenting the sort of the state of the art in regional preparedness pioneered by a municipality of Nurmijärvi. And they have tested and run this format of training volunteers for emergency responses in large scale. And now we are looking at ways of enhancing and boosting those competencies by creating a digital twin of the readiness center, its processes, its resources, its people, to make it replicatable and scalable across Finland and outside of EU. Can I have next slide, please? So my company, Mesensei, as I said, we are a technology company. We are providing a mobile digital platform, which is designed to service organizations with cross-organizational and networked collaboration needs in secure environments which are compliant with the GDPR. Most of our current use cases, which I would call technology readiness level 9, are operational and running since 2020, involved in different types of innovation ecosystems and in healthcare and university education. If you go to the next slide.
Yeah. Awesome.
And what we are intending to do with this project is to take the existing technology platform that we have, the existing use cases which have already been validated together with Nurmijärvi, which would be suitable for boosting the training and the retention of the trained volunteers in regional readiness center. But because we are talking about very specific type of preparedness and resiliency, we would need to drop down the technological readiness level to let's say to TLR 5 in order to understand the aspects of cybersecurity and legislation. The implementation would be for civil authorities which are collaborating across many different municipalities, and they would have a need to transfer personal data between the different municipalities and different institutions, public and private, even with the military. So even though the technology is fairly easy to do, but the legal framework of doing all of this needs research and investigation. And then also a second thing that needs to be looked into is the cybersecurity aspects. The current level of data protection is designed for healthcare kind of standardization, but if we would think about the regional readiness center, and it would be used not only for scenario-based simulations and trainings during the exercises, but if that the whole mass of the people and the processes are already on the digital platform, it could be used for mobilization of the volunteers in emergency response, which means that it would become a mission critical service, and hence we would have to look into what would be the cybersecurity and reliability requirements that would need to be addressed. Can I go to the next slide? And the triangle what we have is that we have Nurmijärvi, the council, and we have the Laura University of Applied Science looking for expertise from the cybersecurity, and then us, Mesensei, as a technology provider, and together working with the legal and technical and operational aspects, we would build this the next version and evaluate it during this program. Can I have the next slide, please? And in this, we are looking obviously scalability. So Nurmijärvi is pioneering municipality in Finland. Laura is specialized in cybersecurity and civil protection, and we are a technology company, but we are now based in Finland. And what we want to see is how to make the concept and the technology economically viable and scalable, not just in Finland, but Baltic region, Nordic region, maybe in the EU, and not just only from this civil defense or civil protection side, but looking more widely things related to network learning and education. Maybe that's for the short. So we are looking for people interested and an organization interested in the technology, and maybe they would be able to help and contribute to the cybersecurity aspects of it and the scalability, of course. Questions?
Yeah, hi, this is Donald. I have a question. Looks very interesting. Are you just focusing on the data part of the twin, the digital twin? Are you focusing also on operational pilots or a mixture of both?
Operational pilots. So we already have the technology. We know how it works, but what we are looking for in this pilot project is the social, technological, and regulational aspects of it. So if we would think that, what does it mean that if we would onboard a lot of volunteers related to civil protection duties on a platform, and if those volunteers and information about them would need to be shared across the regional different municipalities, how would that work? Would the people be on board on this kind of a platform? How does it work in live exercise scenarios? How does it work in training simulation? And then ultimately, could it also be used for mobilization and situational awareness in the case of a real event? So there's a lot of things that are unknowns. Hence, we have the University of Applied Science as one of the research partners.
Okay, thank you.
My apologies, I have bad connection, so I'm not turning on the camera. The question about the partner search, will you be looking for some hardware manufacturers, for example, to partner if you have your technology installed in different devices, for example?
This is a very, very good question. As I said, we really don't know. I mean, like if we go on the operational side, what would it look like in the field? We have done previously a critical app challenge together with Airbus, and our technology has already been adapted to be used on Airbus tactical and debug devices. But the advancement in the different type of devices and hardware, software happens so fast that we don't really know the boundaries. So if you think that you have hardware that could be used in case of different types of civil emergencies or emergency responses of large scale, then obviously we're interested.
Yeah, like low latency provider, like low latency messaging providers, for example, that can allow to work in scarce conditions, low internet quality, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Like that, right? Okay, thank you. Got it. Thank you.
Yes. So if there is something, I'm having the consortium building slot reserved for Friday, I suppose. So if you want to hop on, and we can talk in more detail then.
Yes, please. Can you please give me a second? Don't hide the slide with the barcode, so I'll scan it. Thank you. Thank you.
You can also write an email if you're not available on the 15th or the others.
I am. Yes, I checked the time. I'll be available and very interested in having discussions. People have thoughts and ideas.
Okay, great. So you already raised interest. That's really good. So thank you for presenting this interesting pitch.
Thank you, Christianne.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we will now immediately jump to the next presenter. We will have Nokia presenting about the project ID started on how to enable real-time technologies for future networks. So please, Olivier, Marce.
Do you see me? Do you hear me?
I hear you.
Do you see me also?
Probably it's me not seeing you, but it's okay.
I hope that everything is okay. My PC crashed just before the call, but I'm on my smartphone, but okay.
We can hear you. I will also turn off my video. So.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity for us to present to our project proposal. So started for strict .NET for deterministic networking, enabling real-time delivery. So maybe you can go next slide. So in few words, what we propose to the partner who want to join us is to build a real-time delivery paradigm of the future. By real time, we want to enable the possibility to deliver data with the lowest possible latency ever and no jitter at all. So lower latency is far below 1 millisecond. We target tens or 100 maximum microseconds, depending on the network, of course. We propose also to capitalize on Nokia strict deterministic networking. So we use ST.NET as short concept. We work on it for several years now. It's a totally intern so far concept. We have few papers on it, but of course the idea is to sorry, I have a so the idea is to share the concept with the partners. What we want to do is to open the door to several domains, so large scale industry 4.0, but also ultra high bandwidth communication with a low latency. If we want to have, for example, 1 terabit per second, we need a very low latency. But also it's very interesting for high performance computing, quantum computing also. Of course, it's for longer term. And it has a very high interest or high impact for the energy consumption reduction. So next slide, please. Okay. So Nokia Bell Labs, it's easy for me. I don't need to present a lot Nokia Bell Labs, I'm sure. So our team is located in France. We are about more than 200 researchers. We are part of the Nokia company, and we work on any technology that is interesting in the telecommunication range, either mobile, fixed, and so on. Next slide, please. So in few pictures, in few words, what we want to do is what we consider is that time is money. So we want to put focus on the real-time delivery of data up to now, internet and either Ethernet focus on the delivery without any constraint on the latency. There is some working group .NET, IEEE 802 TSN and so on that work on it. What we want is to go beyond with what we call a strict deterministic aspect. What we want to do is to have no buffering. So we have energy saving because we don't need to have buffer and to memory to store the data when there is contention. Of course, it is not possible for all the data in the internet globally. It's also it is focused on a part of the data flows that such data flows that needs real-time delivery are deterministic by itself. What we mean is that there is some pattern in such flow. It is not random flow. Of course, it is random. We cannot do any magic. We are not only engineer, not magician. So the main idea is to exploit deterministic aspect of the flows to schedule data delivery. And then we can achieve no contention and no buffering. So as I said, we want to leverage on for several years work from Nokia. At the right side of the slide, you can see a short overview of the architecture. So we want to address all the aspects from what we call service operational contract, saying that how we contract for real-time delivery, and we do think that it is a good idea is to go toward intent-based networking. The second square is about rectangle. Sorry, is about what we call strict deterministic networking. So we do have some results on technology on it, and the idea is to deliver packet on date, not on destination. So we are doing let's say a date-based routing. It's just to give an idea. We are also working to a native Ethernet optical switching. So we are working with a company which is a specialist in such components. And yes, with this company, we are working on a photonic integration of such of the component for doing strict deterministic switching. Next slide, please.
Is it the next? Was previous?
No, it was a previous.
Oh, sorry.
Next slide. No problem. What we propose is to have a 3 years long project. The expected outcome so far, but of course it can be adjusted with the new partners, is to have a prototype of ST.NET Ethernet switch with integrated optical components. We already have some prototype, and we want to go to something close to a product. We also working a lot on an AI-based approach for real-time scheduling. I mentioned scheduling. I'm sure that most of you have something in mind, saying that okay, it's very hard, it's NP complex, and so on. And yes, it is. We already did some work on the classical algorithm. Now we are experimenting some new approach based on artificial intelligence. It is experimental, but it is very, we have a very interesting first result. What we want to do as an outcome also is to have a prototype of networks, so between 5 to 10 nodes, depending on a lot of parameters, resource mainly, of a network, because only one node, of course, it's something that is quite easy. Let's say, okay, not easy, but that we can do. But we want to demonstrate that it scale to at least 5 to 10 nodes, and if more, if it is possible. And we want to do by this, we want to opening up some vertical industries that I mentioned before, industry 4.0, high performance computing, and so on. So next slide, please. So there is already a French-based existing consortium, so Nokia Bell Labs France, I belong to. The 3.5 Lab is also linked with the Nokia. It is a company with a part of Nokia also inside, but it is another company, specialist in optical integration. We are working with the University of Saclay Versailles as an university, also with a French school, CESI, in France. And of course, we are open to any kind of partners, especially if you are interested in exploring what means strict .NET, low latency, and so on for your industry, either if it is high performance computing, industry 4.0, and so on. We are really very interesting to discuss with you how we can provide our technology to your problem and to work together. But of course, we are also open to any kind of partner wanting to bring some technology aspect for our own solution. I think it's the last slide almost, or yeah, so my information, and then we can meet on March 14. I can't hear anything. Yeah, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, great. And are there questions from the audience?
I have a question for Dominique Defossé from NXP. The technology you are in mind is exclusively dedicated to optical, or it could be any kind of technology?
It can be also on electrical. To be honest, we have also electronic-based, FPGA-based prototype that we did some years ago. Now we are focusing on optical aspect because it is much more performant. But we are open to discuss with any company to see how, of course, we can let's say develop this technology for in another domain for sure.
Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you.
That's a really good question from NXP. It's a chip manufacturer, if I'm correctly. And I was wondering myself about the no buffering, but probably with NXP you have the right partners who make this happen.
Yeah, and it would be very interesting to discuss with you, at least too.
Okay. Any other question?
I put my hand up, but so you're not quite going all optical yet, is that correct?
We did some very let's say initial prototype. We have two toward one two input toward one output prototype. So it is a very basic step for a switch. So we are going to 8 to 8 switch up to now. But we are also interesting to have on board any optical specialist to work together how we can speed up on a prototype. We are a research lab. We do have some component, but we are very interesting to work with other industry or other academic on it.
Yeah, I guess buffering is the hurdle to optical networking. Electrical buffers work well. Optical buffers are hard. Can I just ask you one more question, and that is, you had this sub 1 millisecond goal, and you have this existing work that you mentioned, strict .NET. How far are you away from your sub 1 millisecond goal?
Here, or on experiment, prototype, whatever you call it, or platform, we do have very low latency. It's in less than 1 microsecond. Of course, it is on one chip only, one node only. But we do things that, depending on the size of the network, of course, but we do things that we are able to deliver data with a few, let's say, a few tenths of microsecond without any problem if our solution go at the end, of course. But because we get rid of any buffering, so we deliver almost instantaneously. Of course, once again, there is no magic. Don't say that, okay, everything is close to the speed of light. We have some difficulty to tackle, but okay, we are very confident that it is possible to be very less than 1 millisecond.
Thank you, very interesting. As you know, I'm in Sweden and we're very close to one of your largest competitors.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But Rice is also responsible for the SI units, measurement of time and kilogram and, So there is a group called Time and Optics, which might be very interested in this as well as myself. So thank you. Very inspiring.
Let's talk together. We will see.
Yeah.
We can partner with any even with competitor if needed. We already did that, and there is no problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Olivier, for the presentation. We could discuss more, but unfortunately we have much more presentations. Thank you a lot for presenting this interesting idea. So our next presenter tries to find a solution for high-speed optical communication and how to secure them. The presentation will be held by Mr. Eyal Wohlgemuth from CyberRidge. So please.
Thank you, Christine, for this nice introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to present here. My name is Eyal Wohlgemuth. I'm the CTO and co-founder at the CyberRidge company. And just a comment about the last presentation from Nokia. I think that if you are concerned about data security, so your vision very nicely aligned with the CyberRidge vision about optical security. So we can certainly discuss later on. So please, Christine, next slide. So CyberRidge developed a technology to protect optical communication line so that data is transmitted over this line cannot be recorded or hacked. We also provide the ability to steal transmitting the data, means that no communication or transaction can be seen or noticed on this optical line, even though it is scanned with optical spectrum analyzer, for example. Organization that uses our technology can be declared as a post-quantum ready within a very short time compared to other alternatives exist. We're not only providing a method to distribute keys, but what we do is actually encrypting all the full line rate, which to start with is 100 gigabit per second today, and shortly we will scale up to 400 gig. We're providing full line rate encryption. Since we do an all optical processing, we're adding absolutely no latency to the communication line, and we providing very low power consumption solution. And of course, our technology is compatible with the Ethernet or OTN networking equipment. So next slide, please. So we're a university spin-off. We were founded like 2 years ago. Today we're 15 employees. We're centered in Israel, in Tel Aviv. Our key member in the company, Professor Dan Sadot, is the CEO. I'm the CTO. Hamudal Shalom, VP R&D, Dr. Eyal Feldstein, CBO, and Shai Shemesh, our VP R&D. We also have advisory board from telecommunication and service providers in Europe, in the USA. Next one, please. Communication over optical fiber were considered to be immune to cyber attack and tapping, but this is not actually the case. It is shown that tapping into optical fiber is straightforward and can be done with a very easy and cheap equipment. For example, here you can see kind of a clip-on coupler that taps the optical line, and some portion of the light is leaked out of the fiber. Then the data can be stored, and following that, it can be brought to a computer or even quantum computer, which is known to be able to break the existing asymmetrical encryption protocol like RSA, ECC, and so on. So next one, and next slide, please, Christine. So what we're offering in CyberRidge is to install our devices on both ends of the optical line. And while an eavesdropper tries to tap into this line, which is protected with CyberRidge unique transmission technology, he will get absolutely noise. Even if you try to post-process this signal that was tapped out of the fiber without knowing the optical key, he will not be able to extract any information out of this signal, no matter what kind of post-processing will be done. Even a quantum computer cannot extract any information because the data that was, or the signal that was extracted out of the fiber contains more noise than information. So it is actually limited by information theory to extract any information bit from this signal. So next one, please. So what we're looking to do in this project is actually introduce our technology into a beta site within a telecom provider, telecom operator. We also want to scale up the data rate, as I mentioned, to 400 gig and above it, as well as to increase the spectral efficiency. And as well, we want to reduce the form factor. Currently, it is a rack-mounted pizza box device, and we have the vision to increase to reduce the form factor to pluggable optics transceiver. So the impact of this project would be providing clients absolute data privacy. In addition, allow organization to be post-quantum ready within a very short period. And of course, we're resistant to some of known and concerning attacks like metadata analysis that can be extracted from example, MACsec and IPsec protocols. Here in CyberRidge technology, we're protecting from the physical layer, so that all the structure of the OSI is protected. So can you please move to the next one? Thank you. So the partners that we're looking for, and the partnership that we're looking for in this project would be organizations which are more concerned about data security. This could be military, defense, and so on, governmental. Also financial, insurance company, banking, and so on, which operate their own fiber networks. Could be a potential customer to deploy our technology. And also, we want to approach telecom providers to use our technology and offer their client better secured communication services. We can also collaborate with the telecom hardware vendors to integrate our technology as an OEM into, for example, line card or networking equipment. And another vertical would be for example, photonic integration companies that can help us integrate our device to smaller form factors and be more applicable to optical pluggable transceivers. So next one, the last one. So I would be happy to meet anyone who can be interested in such technology, actually tomorrow morning. Please feel free to ask any questions about CyberRidge.
One clarification. This is again Eli Tuukka from Ribbon in Israel. I think that I think that your people have met our people in the past. In the example, you showed a data center to data center communication, but I understand that this is also valid for any network, optical network, packet optical network, for example.
Yeah, actually, we have like a very standard interfaces to our box. The client interface is 100 gigabit pluggable QSFP and so on. So we can plug into any kind of networking equipment and apply our optical encryption technology.
Okay, thanks.
Sure, you're welcome.
Okay, another question? Okay, if there's no other question, we would switch to the next presenter. So thank you a lot.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Vedat Koskun from Istanbul Atlas University.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Thank you.
Actually, we have some R&D studies which matches to several of your expectations. For example, security, network security is one of them. And I have also connection with a mobile network operator, actually the largest one in Turkey. I can contribute from that perspective also. So I suggest to send you an email explaining those issues, and then you can just look at the mail and respond, and maybe we can continue after that point. What do you say?
Yeah, thank you. Please send me an email and I'll look into that. Yeah.
Perfect. But I couldn't see your email. Can you?
I think it's in the here.
Yeah,
there are the
I
contact details.
just screenshot. Okay, I have taken screenshot, and I will send you an email. Okay. Hopefully today, at most tomorrow before noon. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Then see you.
Thank you very much.
So it seems you have a very interesting technology there. Okay,
bye-bye.
Great. So then, thank you a lot, Eyal,
Christianne,
for presenting.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Our next presentation is called NomadSlice for nomadic network slicing for private industry and beyond networks. So please, Mrs. Anna Richter.
Hi, I'm Anna Richter and I'm speaking for the Fraunhofer IAS Research Institute. I want to present our project idea called NomadSlice, in the long form, the nomadic network slicing for private industrial 5G and beyond networks. Next slide, please. Yeah, so our idea, our project shall enable the demand-driven resource partitioning through dynamic network slicing. And the main benefit in our idea lies in the optimization of network management for heterogeneous industrial environments using network slicing as a tool. And here we aim at reducing human intervention by using automated closed loop control. And we want to create kind of a mobility awareness for non-stationary devices like mobile robots and AGVs. We aim at adding value in terms of mobility aware network slice lifecycle management, and want to use AI for predicting the traffic and trajectory of mobile devices. There's some background noise. So you should participate in the project if you want to drive the development of self-organizing networks in the industry. If you want to bring academic research on intelligent network slicing into practice. And as a vendor, you might use to integrate the results in terms of algorithms and software components into your technology. And as a private network user, you could optimally use your network resources in production. And can you move to the next slide, please? Okay, then let me briefly just introduce the organization. So as I said, I'm from the Fraunhofer Institute for Integrated Circuits in Germany, which has its headquarters in Erlangen and conducts research in the field of microelectronics and information technology, and is the largest of the Fraunhofer Institutes today. And here our division in Dresden of the engineering of adaptive systems. So we develop safe, reliable, and robust technology solutions, for example, in the field of industrial wireless communications. Please go to the next slide. Okay, and let's get back to our project idea. So our vision is a mobility-aware dynamic network slicing, which is adapted to industrial environments, and it is motivated by the need for the optimal allocation of limited resources in heterogeneous industrial scenarios. We aim at ensuring the required service qualities for different device classes, including mobile devices. And in the graphic, I brought an example scenario here where a mobile robot has to move to another cell in an industrial environment, like an industry hall. And in our vision, this little robot guy shall be able to take his dedicated high priority URLC network slice with him to the other cell without running into cell capacity problems. And therefore, this means that in the other cell, the existing lower priority slices would have to be reconfigured to make this possible, just as an exemplary scenario we can imagine. In terms of the project content, there shall be implemented full network slicing and lifecycle management in a realistic testbed or test network. And AI shall be used for predictive resource allocation optimization. And then please go to the next slide. Yeah, the expected outcome of this would be a network slicing framework for vendors, campus network providers, and also users. And yeah, especially for Open RAN compliant networks, we would like to deploy results in form of interconnected XFs and RFs. The impact we see in reducing human intervention in private network management and in the elevation of flexible and adaptive communication for industrial settings. And the project duration, yeah, for us would be 36 months. Okay, then the next slide, please. Yeah, in terms of partners, we especially looking for equipment vendors, so for 5G campus networks, and also yeah, Open RAN component suppliers, but also for testbed operators, and we are also open for other institutes that conduct research in the field of campus networks. Yeah, and we would be happy to discuss with you maybe in the Friday session if you have questions or are interested. Okay, then that's it from my side. It's the contact slide, so feel free to reach out and contact. Yeah. And you can join the consortium building session on Friday.
Okay, is there interest from the audience? Questions to Anna? It's a very complex project idea.
Christianne? Hi,
Yes.
this is Eyal from Turkcell. Actually, we have a department dealing or interested in with the project, so I have forwarded it, and maybe also we can contact to this project. So this is it, not a question.
Okay, that's moment. You might discuss offline.
Yeah.
Okay, additional question? Okay, if there's no further question, please don't miss the consortium building session on 15th of March at 11 to discuss further with Anna about the nomadic network slicing, which is going much beyond the existing ones. Okay, thank you a lot for presenting. Good, so we will come to the next presenter. We will have the project idea steerer from Hacer Ozmen Yilmaz from Turkey. Hacer is, yeah.
Thank you, Christine. I am Hacer Ozmen Yilmaz, R&D Project Manager at Teknasyon. Our project is next generation site builder subscription and digital payment management platform. Short name is Steerer. Next slide, please. Before deep into the idea, just quick snapshot from us. Teknasyon is a technology company located in Turkey. It was founded to 2013. It has 300 employees. We are growing. Last year we were SME, and this year we are scaled as a large company. We are active in mobile application ecosystem. We have many mobile applications to publish to end users. One of them, which is most important for us, is GetContact. It has 3 billion end users in the worldwide. And we have different type of applications in utility and entertainment categories. We also have B2B SaaS products, Rakesh Marketing Suite, Desk 360 omnichannel communication platform, VerifyKit is a verification tool. We have also investment role. We are supporting the developers, early stage developers about their growth and marketing perspectives. Next slide, please. European Union Digital Market Act regulates the criteria for gatekeepers. Who are the gatekeepers? Large digital platforms like Apple, Google, which offer platform services, app stores, online search engines. They generally use their dominant positions in the market and apply the restrictions to developers, SMEs about subscription services. They provide pre-installed mobile applications which cannot be uninstalled, and they use the competition to their advantage. And most app developers are negatively affected by this situation. Most importantly, they charge a high commission fee for in-app subscription payment because they don't allow to use alternative way outside of the app. Now, European Commission has invested the situation, and just quick news, last week they fined nearly 2 billion euro to Apple about subscription of music streaming apps. Next slide, please. DMA covers only European region. We need to more smooth services for other markets as well. Steerer came up with this idea to solve these challenges. It is all-in-one solution that provides site builder, subscription, and payment modules. It provides a journey to the customer by connecting with them on the social media, start a survey with customized questions, promote the products, and convince them to proceed the payment. It has a creation tool which is possible to use most UI elements and data points like text, image, location, dates, or other nominal data. Business can create the customer journey aligned with their marketing strategy. And finally, business not need to think about it, how to collect the money. With the payment gateway, it will be possible to pay via bank transfer or credit cards or other next generation payment methods. Also, it will be supporting local and international payment methods. Next slide, please. Steerer is an innovative solution by bringing together all necessary elements. It provides web-to-app, web-to-web approach, which is an alternative way to acquire the users so that we can bypass the marketplace constraints. It will give the opportunity to the companies to create their sales funnel. It has payment orchestration. It is possible to localize the price and currency. It will be possible to gather customer data and propose the customized product within the predictive algorithms. Next slide, please. We are the coordinator and platform provider. We need to AI partners, especially generative AI, large language models. We are serving globally. Payment localization is so important. We need the global payment providers in the global zone. This is a web-based SaaS platform. We are using current security applications, but future threats will be coming. We need a security partner. And we would like to develop a platform on a large scale. It should meet the whole sectoral needs for game sector or digital sector. Different use case provider are welcome. Next slide, please. Here is my contact information. You can get my contact info by scanning the barcode. And the next slide, our consortium building session is tomorrow. Please join and discuss the possible collaboration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hacer. Is there a question?
No question.
Okay. Which part? I have a question. When I'm coming to this slide, which parts are you covering? All or quite stupid?
We are covering the platform side. For end-to-end, we will cover the platform, but for the data analytics side, we need a partner for the different type of data we'll be processing, and we will create a survey and we will collect many type of data. It will be welcome. It is welcome for other partners, and also security side is other needed points. And payment providers, we have gateway, but we need to other payment providers who has the most regional or global activity.
Okay, questions? No question now, but probably in the follow-up consortium building session. So I also already tried the QR code. It's really great. You directly get your contact details. So please don't hesitate. And thank you a lot for presenting, Hacer. And then we will go to the next presenter. The presentation will be from Professor Ian Olivier from University of Jyväskylä about real trusted systems.
Okay, good afternoon. So I'm Ian Oliver from the University of Jyväskylä. And if you go to the next slide, I can do this actually quite quickly. So what we want to do here is address this notion of what trustworthy means, or trusted systems, confidential systems. It all fits in together. So when people talk about trustworthy AI or trustworthy machine learning or trustworthy anything, we're the ones who can actually go and provide the platform to do that. So in other words, we would like to build an end-to-end. That means supply chain right through to runtime and possibly even digital forensics orchestration and so on after that, top to bottom, from the trusted and confidential hardware like TPM, SGX, TDX, RISC-V, CPU enclaving, right up to the verticals, especially safety critical domains, medical, railways, and so on. So all of this can be called trustworthy. And what does it mean to be trustworthy in that? Next slide, please. So we are from the University of Jyväskylä, which is a research university in the center of Finland, 14,000 students, around 3,000 staff, and I'm part of the faculty of IT there. So we have a very large body of research in these areas and so on. Plus I have a background from a major Finnish telecoms company in this area as well. Next slide, please. So to go through the proposal, we know the threats against hardware, we know the threats against especially firmware, we know all the issues that can occur during the supply chain. Cisco have been affected by this. Stuxnet is the classical case where this has been discussed. We know how to apply it to data centers. So we know how to build trusted data centers. We know how to provide confidential computing within these. And indeed, there are offerings from Amazon Azure on this technology. What nobody so far has been able to do is look at this from a complete end-to-end perspective, meaning it's just not enough to provide the hardware. You need all the additional infrastructure, especially the attestation and the supply chain around that. And of course, then extending this out to edge devices, far edge, IoT devices. What does it mean for untrusted devices to be part of the network? Trusted devices, how do you take advantage of other parts of the infrastructure to provide trust in this aspect? We have some experience in looking at certain verticals, particularly Industry 4.0, medical domain, railways. We've already explored some of this, so we have some good experience from there. And then moving into the other aspects of this, we don't talk about TPM or SGX or any of these specific technologies, but rather about attestable things. So we try and make it much more broad. But this brings in a number of other complications, as we'll see in the next slide. But we also want to apply this then to further things in the infrastructure. So we talk about trusted O-RAN. We have a trusted O-RAN prototype being built at the moment. What does it mean if you add these technologies, for example, to 5G, to 6G? What happens if it then becomes an inherent part of, say, the telecoms infrastructure? So you can guarantee any workload placed there will be run in an enclave. It can be computed on in a confidential manner. This then opens up multi-vendor scenarios, which is especially important in ORAN. And if you have all of this embedded and inherent as a first-class object in the infrastructure, what effects then does it have on the end user, and what new use cases does it then enable? Next slide. So what we plan to do is build up a standardized platform for core edge, far edge, and IoT devices that support trusted and confidential computing across the whole architecture in a seamless manner. So this means that devices, containers, or any objects in there must be able to prove not only their identity, but also their integrity before they can be used. And they can also guarantee certain properties of the infrastructure that these are running on, from the hardware right up to network concepts such as slicing and so on. So we're looking at generic attestation mechanisms. So this orchestration of trusted workload across this infrastructure. What happens when you have mobile workload, when you need to move workload around and you can't adhere to certain trust characteristics? How do the networks in general start then protecting against that? And then ultimately we'll have a digital forensics procedure. So when you do see loss of trust at any point in this system, we have a much deeper semantic understanding of exactly what's going on there and how to go and correct for that. The overall impact of this means that anybody doing data processing, either in network or as an over-the-top vertical, can then have additional guarantees on the network properties, on the infrastructure, and on the software that they're deploying within this. A very simple case is, of course, just in supply chain security, being able to supply devices to manufacturers, and they can guarantee that that is the device that was manufactured, they can trace it back and so on. This also has implications then for things like certification in safety critical industries, aviation, medicine, and so on. And we also wish to impact into a number of areas of standardization. We've actually done this a little bit so far: 6G, ORAN via IETF, ETSI, GSMA, and so on. And next slide. So we're looking for partners, particularly those providing IoT hardware, service providers, anybody who wishes to run AI, ML workload in the cloud in some form, maybe as containers or some other distribution mechanism, who need to worry about the supply chain of those and where these things are running. And that, you actually want to be sure that whatever you run in the cloud, nobody else can tamper with and nobody else can see, and so on. So anybody requiring data processing of sensitive or critical area. Cloud management and providers, network providers. And then going into the verticals, medical is a classic case study for this because of the nature of the information being processed, and also wanting to move that information away from the end devices into more distributed or federated data processing environments. And this, of course, then impacts on the control flow going back. So having a trusted infrastructure then allows you to start controlling these devices remotely for some very interesting telemedicine cases. While medical has been my area of particular interest, satellite, critical communications, edge technologies, any case where there are strict confidentiality, privacy, or sovereignty requirements for data processing come into this as well, and especially safety critical systems, just because of the properties of those systems. Next slide. Okay, so this is my contact information. You can see my email, phone number, and address there. I believe the consortium building session for this is tomorrow, 13 to 13:30 Central European time. Okay, that's this one. Any questions?
Questions? I might have a question. I think this generic attestation from supply chain to runtime is a pretty interesting outcome, but it's also probably very challenging. Probably this is then the generic part, or is this really generic attestation possible?
To a point, there are requirements upon the hardware, the software infrastructure, the APIs in order to provide this. And one thing that we have on this is that instead of thinking about systems rooted with a hardware root of trust like a TPM, you actually have multiple chains of trust in a system. So for example, a container running on some cloud infrastructure, its chain of trust goes back to its manufacturer. How is that communicated? The cloud infrastructure itself providing, say, confidential computing capabilities. Where does the chain of trust for, say, the CPU come from? And then the platform underneath and the operating system that has a different chain of trust. Then it's how you cross-reference these chains of trust together. So there should be points of cross-reference.
It's a very complex thing. Yeah,
it becomes extremely complex, and so we've actually developed quite a lot on the ontologies of this, and that's revealed something. So we got some demos on this already, on this cross-referencing amongst multiple chains of trust. But further from that, then you get into a higher level of trust, which is traditionally called the web of trust. How do devices trust each other, and what does it mean for, say, my medical device to trust the data processing being provided in the cloud? What does that trust relationship mean? And we've explored this a little bit in the medical area, and we've also got some very interesting results coming up in ORAN, for example, and ORAN actually, and also 5G as well, on what these relationships mean and how they're actually realized and provided for by the system underneath. So it's an extremely challenging thing. A lot of the bits are there, but putting all the bits together needs some very interesting use cases on top to tease out all these intricacies that we see, and to actually figure out which are the very important ones and which areas we need to really address trust and how it affects the end user and the verticals at the end of the day.
Okay, I see there is a hand raised by Mr. Ian March.
Yes, hello, Ian.
Hello.
Ian to Ian here.
Yeah.
Brits masquerading as Swedes and Finns. So I agree with the automotive is a good use case, and now I'm going to send a link of a company that we work with in Sweden very, very closely. My question is this: it seems a little out. It was not expected a university to be doing this. It feels almost like an SME type.
Okay, there's a long background onto this. I've got a long background with another Nordic telecoms company. Hence the 6G, ORAN. I have a lot of the patents on that area as well from a previous job. So this is being built up. So I'm now bringing this expertise into the industrial domain, because what we've realized, from the industrial domain, what we've realized is that we are not going to be able to do this in any sensible way unless it becomes an industry-wide consortium, if you like, and if we don't sort out a lot of the very intricacies of actually putting all these parts together. So as we see, I mean, you might have companies like Intel who produce things like TDX. We've got the TCG with the TPM. We've got a number of container trust scenarios, SigStore, etc. But stitching all these together, actually putting them into infrastructure like ORAN and 6G, which are the places where this stuff should be, that's when you start getting the very interesting capabilities that can then be utilized by the verticals. So it's stitching all this together is the real research challenge here. And if we manage even to do part of that, then the outcome of actually having trustworthy supply chains and, you know, proper trustworthy equipment, even at the edge where anybody can manage it, I think are very, very lucrative in the long term.
Agree. My past student is now working at SME in the chat, stitching the bits together. So absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we have another question. Yep.
Hi, Ian. Very
Hello.
interesting idea, and especially considering that you're working so much on the university. Unfortunately, I'm university as well, working very closely with industries, and you're covering quite a bit on supply chain trust. And what I can see is that you are basically making one layer for supply chain before you're going to optimizations and anything. So opening all this, will be interested to have a look and explore, how this could be overlaid altogether. We have like extensive over 20 years working in this area.
Okay.
Yeah, AI and supply
Wonderful.
chain and optimization.
Well, wonderful. I'd love to talk with you more in that case. Please feel free to reach out directly.
Definitely, I will reach you out, and I think I sent you already a message on LinkedIn. If not, we will find other way how to communicate.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay, then as a third question, I would like to take it as well. Mr. Donald Morris?
Yeah, hi, this is Donald. Just a question. Did you say you were including or excluding healthcare? I can see this as benefit in the whole healthcare ecosystem.
I actually have, I've done a lot of work with healthcare. And actually, a lot of the driver of this came from the requirements of certain healthcare providers back in early 2020 when a certain pandemic hit. So that was a huge driver for actually moving away from actually trying to understand how this technology could be applied in healthcare. And that was a big revelation for us, you know. So instead of talking about the bits of technology and trying to stitch them together, we turned that original project around and came from, say, a healthcare perspective and asked, how do we make medical devices better if we start adding in, for example, these little chips to them? So it's not, you know, if you put a TPM in a device, great. If you do remote attestation, that's great. What does it mean for the end user? And we used the medical case as a very, very motivating driver to figure out how this might actually look when it's applied into the infrastructure. So I'm very interested in working with medical providers, medical device providers, data processing on that as well. So feel free just to contact me, email, LinkedIn, tomorrow.
It's on 15th of March, your consortium building session. You can also join, but if you are not available, please contact directly. The presentation is online. Okay, so then Ian has more ideas. So we will switch to the next one.
Switch to the next one. Yeah, I'll do this one quite quickly. I don't need to introduce myself, but it's the same institution as well. So if you go to the next slide. So if you like, this proposal here is a very, very specific use case of the technology that we've just talked about, if you like. And so if you look at what happened in the telecoms industry over the past 10 years with the move from specific hardware, telecoms hardware into virtualization, and now pretty much all telecom systems are based on NFV. They're all cloudified. If you look at the 5G architecture, etc., you know, just run on commodity hardware. The question that we're asking here is, what happens if we do this with aviation equipment? What happens if we treat an aircraft as an edge cloud in its own right? What then becomes possible? And then interesting, what's the impact on safety? What happens if I'm able to upload software to my aircraft in real time? What happens if the systems on board are taking the advantage of all the interesting features that cloud and orchestration can give us? So what happens when we do run aircraft on commodity hardware and put the entire avionics just running in some container? And if you think that's terrifying, that's the whole point of this research. So if you go to, I think probably the next 2 slides, because the next one is just about the university. So all the advantages of cloud, but in a safety critical, and in this case, an aviation environment. If you could think of all the things that go wrong, we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So what happens when we're able to optimize the software on board an aircraft by pushing up, say, new capabilities? What happens if the capabilities of the aircraft can change depending on the particular mission of that aircraft? So in a passenger aircraft, they will potentially have different combinations of software on board, whether it's flying charter or whether it's flying, say, just intra-European flights. If you're doing transatlantic flights, there are certain other features that you do not want or do want on that aircraft. And a lot of this can be provided by software. At the moment, a lot of these features are provided by having specific equipment, hardware equipment on board the aircraft. And if that aircraft, say, is being used for transatlantic routes, that hardware will not be being used. So therefore, it contributes to weight of the aircraft. So if we can start replacing this equipment with off-the-shelf equipment that supports trust and confidentiality and very, very secure methods of networking and processing, we can start to significantly reduce the cost of hardware, potentially software, and the maintenance of the aircraft. So, for example, an aircraft can be taken out of service just because a specific computer fails. In these instances, in our idea, you could just reorganize where the software runs on that system. So you become much more failure tolerant. Now, an interesting thing about this idea is that if you move to commodity hardware and you can optimize the usage of that hardware, you get massively reduced cooling requirements, space, weight, and cooling requirements of this hardware. And it actually turns out that around 30% of the air that's used to pressurize the cabin is also used to keep the servers and the avionics bay actually cool. So, and I believe this works out on a flight from Helsinki to Stockholm, which takes around 4 tons of fuel on a 737 or an A320, you could actually reduce this by as much as 1 ton of fuel utilized. So there's a very, very major green concept in here as well by moving to this. But the idea of actually doing this is so utterly terrifying from a safety perspective from the aviation community. Just be able to demonstrate this would then start to move that industry into that area and start to prepare the groundwork for understanding what a cloud-based safety critical system might mean in this domain. And this, of course, would have an impact in other areas, automotive, space, medical, and so on. So if you go to the next slide. So I think I've gone through quite a bit of this already in this discussion. But what we'd like to build at the end of the day is a demonstration of the utilization of edge cloud or trusted and confidential edge cloud using 5G, 6G for internal aircraft operations and between aircraft and ground operations. Okay, this might also include satellite. So we've got network. We'd have to run this system in the presence of low bandwidth, high latency, and so on. What would be the platform requirements for future off-the-shelf hardware for the aerospace industry? It's not going to be your case of just going down to the computer shop and just buying a server and slotting it in. There will be additional requirements on this, but how would this then come through in the certification and so on? And importantly then, from my point, what's the whole cybersecurity aspect around this? How can it be attacked? We are going to go beyond the normal cloud security and the normal cloud security threats into some new areas that we haven't seen anymore. We're going to have a whole bunch of very interesting failure models that we're going to need to take care of as well. So this system is going to have to be self-repairing, self-diagnosing, etc. So the impact for this, as I said, there's the potential for massive cost savings just from the hardware and the fuel consumption side of things, also leading into weight, power consumption, performance, etc. But then there are some very interesting use cases that could be built up regarding the optimization of flight services, avionics behavior, and so on. So that's what we'd like to do in this. So that's that. Next slide, please. So the partners, obviously anybody working in the aerospace industry, space, drone, aircraft, anyone providing applications in these areas, anything from the infotainment systems right through to flight control, FADEC, telemetry. This would also have an impact on things such as the identification devices, ACARs, remote ideas using drones as well. So anybody working in these areas with requirements about this who would like to move to more commercial hardware, etc. Other partners with strict networking hardware, software requirements, brave enough to make this move, who are just crazy enough to even think about doing this, we'd be very interested in talking to, such as railways, medical partners. So that's my pitch there. And then if you go to the next slide, yeah, my contact information is the same for this one as well. And the building session is slightly later tomorrow. Sorry, on Friday.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Any question? Not immediately. It's pretty challenging. Idea there. Tatiana is having a question.
There's a couple.
I think it sounds like we are having crazy ideas all together. We did some experience previously working on AI drone control and building AI-based safety ring systems to making sure that any interventions with drone controls has been ring fence if, for example, there is a failure in sensors and so on, and we were happily very successfully demonstrated with in some of AFEX competitions in US. Happy to get engaged and see how we can collaborate further in this area.
Yep. Great. I think there was another question coming up as well. Yep.
Okay. No further question. Then thank you a lot for presenting these two interesting project ideas. And please don't hesitate to join the consortium building sessions for further discussions.
Bye.
So then we are coming to the next project idea. It's called Genetic, and it will be presented by Gerorgios Ioannou.
Thank you, Christianne. So my name is Gerorgios Ioannou. I'm a research fellow at the Brunel University, London, in the computer science department. This is a proposal that we're putting together with Professor Panos Louvieris from the computer science department as well. So next slide, please. The motivation for this proposal is the intersection between the emerging sixth generation mobile networks or future mobile network telecommunications networks in general, and the sustainability assurance for the human society. So 6G technologies must and will contribute to the sustainability of other sectors, of other vertical industries, through enabling use cases with a positive footprint. And this is what we refer to as 6G for sustainability. And of course, the 6G end-to-end system must and will be sustainable. It will be eco-friendly, and that's not only because we have a purpose to tackle climate change risks, but also because this is the only way that it can be financially secure. This is what we refer to as sustainability for 6G. Next slide, please. So our scope is twofold. First, we want to work towards helping the ICT sector achieve their ESG compliance targets, which has a knock-on effect on securing further green financing proceeds. Also, we want to create the conditions whereby 6G-enabled innovation for other verticals such as manufacturing or health or transportation, energy. So that innovation, we want to make sure that it is sustainable. And the bedrock for this is to enable accurate data acquisition, provenance of data, and to achieve real-time reporting with the use of financial technology. And these requirements can only be fulfilled by having a look at the payments data. So the stakeholders for this proposal come from across the economy. Obviously, we have the ICT industry, particularly all the big players in the industry that have reporting commitments for ESG, as those have been specified by the Task Force for Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, which is now under the remit of the International Sustainability Standards Board. There's also emerging regulations in the EU, which is the CSRD. This also covers banks, and those banks will be issuing green loans, and those banks need to ensure that their customers make use of those loans in net zero expenses. Also, the International Chamber of Commerce has a major stake in this, particularly in helping banks set the correct standards and the correct data points for sustainable trade and sustainable trade financing. And that has an effect at 6G supply chains at the global scale. And those supply chains have to be more resilient and flexible. Also, equipment vendors for mobile telecommunications, those vendors that have a low carbon footprint or low GHG emissions will become more accessible by their customers because their green rating will be improved. Of course, there are citizens will reap the benefits of the positive impacts of on their health and the environment in accordance with sustainability goals set by the United Nations, namely 7, which is affordable and clean energy, 11, which is sustainable citizen communities, and goal 13, which is climate action. Also, there are opportunities for tax authorities that want to provide incentives for ESG compliance, and they can even use transaction data that is already collected for tax purposes to provide those incentives. Next slide, please. So a few things about Brunel University. Brunel University is actively involved in research within digital economy, within financial technology, with very good experience in distributed ledger technology, and that within the computer science department, and also within the electronic and electrical engineering. There is a very big experience in digital economy, in 6G, and in applications for providing legal and regulatory compliance, as well as other aspects of government technology. To the next slide, please. A few words about the challenges and opportunities that we face. The global supply chain on 6G and mobile telecoms in general is being diversified and disaggregated, so that these supply chains remain resilient and secure for sourcing 6G equipment by international trade. At the same time, customers will face the challenge of identifying which suppliers of 6G equipment or 6G enabled service providers are optimal for those customers, so that they secure their green finances and achieve their net zero targets. So as the number of potential suppliers and service providers grows, then the uncertainty of their green rating increases, and the risk of losing track of your compliance and green financing increases as well. So we want to keep track of net zero compliance and assure green financing by utilizing the data from the payments. And that's because the payments data is the only type of data that speaks the truth, which is in contrast to the current reporting techniques, which is based on like marking your own homework. And this is what usually happens when you are asked to fill in your own regulatory compliance forms. The TCFD and ISSB data, as I mentioned before, will be made use of within the project for financial disclosures, and we can use those to create company ratings and profiles, or we can even use similar ratings from other pre-existing data sources that refer to net zero targets. And all of that can come together so that during a procurement process, when it's such time to pick a supplier, you can identify the knock-on effect of that supply to your net zero target, and consequently to your accessibility on further green financing. So we see that this data availability will help banks, will also have investors in setting the appropriate standards and data points for measuring sustainable trade and sustainable trade finance, and most importantly, to make decisions on green loans, on whether they give green loans or not. And these decisions, we want to make them work through smart contracts. To do that, we aggregate the information on a DLT network where commercial banks who are giving the green loans, the regulators, the government authorities, they have visibility on the payments via controlled access subject to the regulations in its jurisdiction. Next slide, please. So for our partners, Brunel University, as I said, has expertise, especially technical expertise, which we will bring in this project by way of a digital ledger technology network, which we have implemented for automated tax compliance. Also the circular economy group from electrical engineering, HMRC which is for the UK's Tax and Customs Authority, through its innovation team, is interested in this project, and we have done previous work with them on delivering a proof of concept on automated tax payments. There's also the International Chamber of Commerce, who is very interested in the project scope. This is the current composition, more or less. So partners need to come from financial technology, from regulation technology, telecommunications and IT network providers of 5G and 6G, hardware vendors, data centers who have very big interest in the carbon footprint, enterprise networks, other regulators that are associated with ESG compliance, and obviously commercial banks that have ESG compliance duties. We also need the use case providers that come from those business verticals that would benefit from 6G enabled innovation, and those that have ESG compliance duties under the CSRD in the EU or any other legal frameworks within their respective jurisdictions. Next slide, please. So the deliverable will be a smart procurement platform that enables the resilient 6G for sustainability and sustainability for 6G. So we want to develop this platform through which procurement will take place. And that platform will inform you of whether this purchase will have a positive or a negative impact on your carbon footprint. And obviously, it will also work with banks. Banks will be able to use this procurement platform to make decisions, whether it's automated through smart contracts or manual through other means. And the impact that we want to achieve is to assure the greenness for and net zero for green financing for 6G, and to assure secure and resilient supply chains. So we have a provisional plan which ranges from 30 to 36 months. There will be some work associated with identifying the standards, on merging the standards that are currently in development. There is ongoing work in the EU. Then we'll have to co-design with all the interested partners and the stakeholders the smart procurement system, basically what data we need to collect and what data points we will produce. And then we have the later stages with integrating integrating the system with taxation systems or other accounting systems, and obviously the payment systems that will fulfill the payments. And the testing process, and obviously the dissemination and the market research activities from that. So that's all from me. I believe my contact information is available, and our consortium building session is scheduled for this Friday at 9 o'clock CT. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the audience? So, it seems there is at the moment no question, but you can answer these questions then on the 15th.
I would be very happy to.
It's a very broad idea on sustainability and how you would like to solve it. It would be very interesting to see. Okay.
I think we can build some very, very good specific use cases, either for the telecoms providers or for vertical industries that would benefit from 6G.
Yes, yes. I think you will manage to focus this a bit. So from how I know you, you are capable to do this. Okay. So thank you a lot. Yeah.
Yes, I don't have a question, but this is Olivier from Tuukka Payment System. We're a fintech company and we work on payment system. Maybe, George, we can talk about what can we do together in a consortium session about this project.
Yes, of course. I will type in my email in the chat, and you can send me an email if you like, even before the building session.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, another question or interest? No. Okay, so then thank you a lot for presenting this idea. Then we are coming to the next presenter. This is Mrs. Cholo Moshimane from South Africa. She's having a project idea on vital early warning systems for remote patient monitoring. So please.
Must unmute myself. Thank you, Christianne. Good afternoon, all, and thank you for attending the session. As Christianne had said, I'm proposing the Vitals early warning system called VEWS. And we can go on to the next slide, please, Christine. So imagine sleeping well at night, knowing that your vulnerable members of society, be it chronic patients, the elderly, sick children, are being constantly monitored for vitals being within the range. Should they go out of range, you then know that the right medical attendance will be given to them. This is what the remote patient monitoring system is going to do, and it's fully interoperable because we're working with health management systems inside the environment and outside the environment. Next slide, please, Christine. So it's very simple how it works. There's a wristband that is attached to the patient, and at predetermined intervals, the band reads the patient's vitals. The vitals are then sent to the patient's cell phone, where a data packet is made with the GPS coordinates of the patients and sent to the dashboard in the back office that is manned by a health official. A prototype of this thing has been built using inputs from a specialist physician and a general practitioner. Next slide, please. So our proposal is to look at helping the vulnerable groups, as I said, chronic patients, the elderly. Some of the use cases that we've been discussing with my partners are around patients in remission and patients with where the emotions get destabilized. Our target market for these are the public and private health practitioners, medical aid providers, mining houses, prisons, and spectator events. What we're looking to get is a continuous real-time monitoring of vulnerable patients, as I said, targeted communication to the right health practitioner in terms of the relevant interventions needed. And it's also from a public health perspective, even private really, a cost-saving exercise in that the right medical personnel will be dispatched. During the 36 months of the project, we're looking to include other sensors like the ECG sensors. We're looking at integration into other health management systems and IoT platforms, and exploring other use cases in health. Next slide, please, Christine. Now that I've given you the interesting bits about my presentation, a quick overview of Pula-Nala. We are a small business consulting firm specializing in strategy, innovation, and portfolio and program management. We are currently diversifying into the medical technology field through the VEWS application and a health management system. I founded it in 2004, and I've got executive experience of over 20 years. We will be responsible for the project IP and the project management of the South African work packages. Next slide, please, Christine. And in terms of partners, we already have 4 Turkey partners that are going to be helping, and we're looking for other partners that it's not limited. The list that I've got down is not an exhaustive list, so we can have other people come in as well. So we're looking at firmware and IoT development SMEs, advanced dashboard developer companies, use case providers, as I mentioned, from other countries. And we would much prefer to have partners outside of South Africa and Turkey, just to make, as we say at home, make the circle bigger and more accessible. Next slide, please. And this is my presentation for my project. My contact information is in the slide, and you're welcome to contact me anytime. And our consortium building session will be on the next Tuesday, the 19th of March, from 9 till 9:30. I'm looking forward to speaking to some of you. And thank you. Any questions? No questions? No comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. We'd love to participate, and we have done work with early warning score systems already. So we'd love to talk to you about your next stage.
That'll be amazing. Thank you.
Okay, that's great that there's already interest in your proposal. I think Donald is also the next presenter. Is there an additional question? But I think there might be really overlaps also from other countries that are interested in your solution. I see here, this is really your bracelet that you have.
Yes.
It's nice. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so then we will come to the next project idea. It's about enhancing drone connectivity in smart agriculture with sustainable Open RAN and NTN. So please.
Hi, Christianne. Hi, thank
Hello.
you. Hello, everyone. I'm Vaya. I am working in satellite applications Catapult, here to talk to you about our project idea on enhancing drone connectivity in agriculture, but other verticals as well, as we can discuss later. This is the second time we have the chance to participate in the Celtic Next project. During the autumn call, we were lucky to be in a consortium that won a label, so we really hope that this will be the case this time as well. Next slide, please. So just to give you a high-level idea of what we would like to do in this project is to showcase a connectivity solution for drones that will be as lightweight as possible, deployed in smart agriculture, using technologies and concepts like Open RAN and edge computing in order to ensure seamless command control and uninterrupted telemetry data transmission. So with regards to the added value this project can potentially bring, it can boost agricultural efficiency, as well as helping to quickly identifying and reporting any anomalies in the fields. Of course, innovative and scalable connectivity solutions through Open RAN and the non-terrestrial networking, as well as real-time or near real-time decision-making through edge computing. Next slide, please. So very quickly, a few words on Satellite Applications Catapult, which is a non-profit organization driving economic growth through space exploration. We're working towards innovation and technology advancement. We have a very advanced technology center at Westcott, where we have state-of-the-art facilities, both with regards to NTN and also 5G and terrestrial networks. Great collaboration through more than 10 years with industrial and academic partners, not only from the UK, but globally. And our main focus is hybrid and ubiquitous connectivity, aiming at converging NTN into terrestrial networks. Next slide, please. So in the past few years, we have witnessed how Internet of Things has enhanced farming and has enabled the efficiency of many farming and agricultural practices that were not done like this way till then. So we're planning into bringing drones into this and having a few drones that will move in and out of public and private networks covering a large agriculture area. And in order to do that, we would like them to have seamless connectivity, and this is why we want to make sure that there will be both non-terrestrial and terrestrial connectivity. Regarding the how drones will facilitate and enhance farming, they can monitor different activities, both regarding plants, for example, soil moisture, weed detection, as well as anything else that can enhance and optimize ultimately the production in a farm. On top of that, we aim to have, as I said before, lightweight drones, so have less possible processing on the drone. That's why we're bringing the edge computing aspect here to perform locally any processing that is possible to be performed in order to have the more light version of an autonomous UAV. Next slide, please. So with respect to the outcomes, we expect after this project is completed, is the development and implementation of Open RAN and NTN-based connectivity, a framework of connectivity for autonomous drones, and as a result also demonstrate seamless command control and telemetry data transmission, real-time detection of different abnormalities within agriculture farms, and reporting of those as quickly as possible, and the application of edge computing in order to have lightweight drone operation. And this, of course, will result into impacts within agricultural productivity and sustainability, prevention of potential losses within the farm and the agriculture sector, and potentially set a new standard for drone connectivity in this vertical. We envision this to be a 3-year project, with the first year being dedicated to the research, design, and initial testing and development of the testing plan of the connectivity frameworks. The second year to be dedicated to the development and ultimately the integration of the end-to-end system, and potentially some initial field testing of the solution. And the third year to have them to demonstrate the final end-to-end system and evaluate it, optimize it, and of course define the roadmap to commercialization. Next slide, please. So for now, we have a very solid UK cluster formed with us and 3 more partners. Currently working on building a cluster in Turkey, and in the last few days, it seems like we will have a Finnish consortium as well. We would like to welcome everyone who is interested, and preferably non-UK partners, and have expertise either in network engineering with regards to Open RAN or NTN technology, drone technology, edge computing, AI, end users relevant to agriculture, but other verticals as well, because it's very, the agriculture is a vertical, it's not a limited aspect for us. We will be interested to see how this technology, or a very similar one, this solution, if you like, could be demonstrated and showcased in other verticals as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is just my contact info, and I think our session is on Monday morning. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maya. There is a question from Ian. Ian, you're raising your hand. Is this correct? Okay, not Ian Oliver, but Ian Marsh. So probably this is by accident. Yeah, is there anyone else having a question? So if there is no question, probably everything was already clear. And I would like to thank you, Vaya, for presenting. And we are looking forward for your consortium building session.
Thank you, Christianne. Thank
more
you.
discussions. Okay, thank you. So time flies. We need to switch to the next presenter. We have also a very interesting proposal idea from Turkcell about 6G Guard. So please.
Yes, thank you, Christine. Hi, everyone. I'm Buse from Next Generation Research Lab of Turkcell Technology, and today I'm going to present our project idea called 6G Guard, Defending Mobile Communication in Post-Quantum World. Yes, next slide, please. And as you may all know, the quantum technology is one of the most emerging technologies. And although it has lots of benefits and opportunities that it will bring, there are a couple of issues and concerns that will be arise after the quantum computers will be in our lab. And one of the biggest concern is security related. Since the computational power is really big of the quantum the computers, the cybersecurity algorithms, cryptology algorithms that we are using today will not be secure in the post-quantum world. That's why the researchers and the industries are investigating the risk of the quantum powered attack for each industry and listed the most affected industries by this quantum era. And the telecommunication is one of these industries. And in the post-quantum era, of course, mobile network operators must maintain their commitment to privacy-preserving communication services because this is one of the value proposition of the telecommunication. And that's why the 6G Guard wants to investigate the possible solution and architecture that makes the mobile network operator will be secure in the post-quantum world. Next slide, please. And who we are, I want to explain a little bit. The Turkcell Technology is an associated company of Turkcell, which is one of the largest mobile network operator in Europe, and we are the R&D centric the part of the Turkcell, and we are working on the different national and international funded projects, and really are active in the R&D and try to be productive in the academical and technical perspective, and also the standardizations. And since we had a lot of experience on lots of verticals and the TRL levels, but at the beginning of this year, the quantum technologies is integrated in our strategic map. So this is one of the prior area that Turkcell Technology is focusing from the R&D perspective. Next slide, please. The 6G Guard, the vision is actually the establishment of a robust and secure framework for mobile communication infrastructure, of course, especially for 5G and 6G. And our main motivation is recognition of an imminent shift towards quantum technologies and detect the potential vulnerabilities in the features, of course. And we want to develop an innovative solution and protocols and also the standards that tailor specifically for a secure transmission of data over 5G and 6G and generally the feature networks in the post-quantum world. Next slide, please. Yes, the most important outcome that we want to end up with is a robust mobile network framework that enables secure and reliable communication. But when we say the computing, the quantum, and the mobile network, future network, this is a holistic and this is a complex scenario. So we want to suggest a holistic approach. That's why we want to integrate and investigate as many as different the areas that, for example, the quantum resistance encryption algorithms, QKDs, quantum algorithms for network management, and so and so, that everything that is touching in the post-quantum world and can be affected telco, we want to investigate it and create some holistic framework. And the potential impact, of course, the most important impact will be on the resilience mobile communication networks. But it will be really important for the innovation and technological leadership in the field of quantum safe communication. And it will be really important for the trust and confidence establishment among users in the that is to answer the arising concerns related to the quantum. And we are building our the project that will span 36 months. And of course, since it involves quantum, the initial phase will be really R&D centric, and the subsequent phases will be focusing on the implementation, integration, and deployment. But again, this is something the telecommunication, targeting telecommunication, and there are lots of lags. We also want to focus on the stakeholder engagement, training, dissemination, and also the standardization activities. Next slide, please. Yes, where we are. So we want to, develop some the quantum solutions, and in order to composite offer some the application that involves a composite quantum system, all of the columns, the communication, computing, the sensing, are really important. So we want to integrate all of these puzzle pieces into the consortium. Right now, the Turkey consortium is almost full, but again, in order to offer some holistic network architecture, we are looking for the collaboration with the partners who have experience on the application of the quantum technologies and also has some interest on the telco application of the quantum-based technologies. This can be listed, but of course they're not limited, but the like the post-quantum cryptography, QKD, quantum random number generation, quantum algorithms, data encoding, and a satellite-based QKD solution. And next slide, please. Please, if you have any interest, feel free to contact me via any channel that you want. You can add me LinkedIn, send an email. We really want to meet you and discuss with you further how we can add your contribution, and would like to listen your idea. Again, this is something that the quantum technologies, their effect on the telco is something that we are really interested. So we are looking to meet every partner that is interested in this idea. Yes, thank you so much, Christine.
Okay, thank you. Is there a question? So if there is no question, we might also schedule a consortium building session afterwards. And yeah, then we can immediately switch to the next presenter. Thank you a lot, Mrs. Bilgin, for presenting. It's very interesting. Then we are coming to the next presenter, Boris Kryukov, the director of Bockwig LLC from Poland. Are you in? I don't see you in the list. Okay. If you're not in the list, then we might need to switch to our next presenter, Mrs. Saba Homami. You would like to share your presentation yourself? Saba? I see you're still in. Ah, I see you. Great.
Hello.
Hello, it's your turn to share your presentation as agreed, because I think the previous presenter is not in the call.
No, I'm here. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
This is a small deep tech technology company from France. And it's having quite interesting technology on satellite connectivity. And you won already several prizes, so this is the best at the end.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. This is Saba Homami, the co-founder of a French deep tech startup, and I would like to present you our award-winning idea about the satellite communication. our purpose is basically to empower a safer, globally connected world. And what the problem we solve is basically the connectivity. As you know, over 75% of the ground surface is not connected, and it can have severe consequences, whether it's about the asset loss, which are worth trillions of dollars annually, or when it comes to environmental negative impacts such as wildfire. So it really has to stop, and we really need to have a more connected, let's say, globe. So you may wonder that, okay, there are already different companies, different solutions, terrestrial solutions, 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, or other satellite solutions existing in the market. So what new can we bring? Our main value is to provide a low power, a scalable and cost-efficient satellite solution. The problem with all the terrestrial networks with which we are obviously not comparable is that they have geographical limitation, and there are still a lot of surface in the earth that is not covered. Actually, they are underserved areas, which really include a huge portion of the ground surface. And in terms of the existing satellite solutions, they are either too energy consuming or too expensive for the businesses to actually have access to them. And the reason why you should really join us in this project is to enhance this communication in the remote areas, which can really affect different sectors. And I'm going to elaborate on that. In terms of our organization profile, we have a team of 6, including 4 engineers, myself here on the top right, and then the co-founder of the company. We already possess all this expertise, technical expertise, which concern the satellite expertise, telecommunication, RF, etc. And what we are actually lacking at the moment is a commercial team. So we would like to attract commercial experts and AI experts for further on to assist us with data analysis, the data that we actually receive from the clients into their satellite. Here on the bottom, you see a demonstration of the two prototypes of our 1 unit CubeSat, 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter. And here you can see the terrestrial modems, actually, the ground nodes and the ground stations. We aim to enhance the operational efficiency, decision-making, and safety for industries operating in isolated regions, and to drive a sustainable development by facilitating environmental monitoring. And this way we can also empower the SMEs by providing them with affordable IoT connectivity rather than letting them be really relying on the expensive and energy-consuming satellite options. And our scalable, cost-efficient satellite network could actually enhance different sectors such as agriculture, mining, machine-to-machine industries, etc. Here I'm gonna play this. This is a real simulation of the second phase launch of our constellation. So here you see 30 satellites, and our outcome would be by the end of 2026 to have 30 satellites in low Earth orbit, and to have established our global network. So here in 2D, you have a demonstration to have an idea of the global coverage we can provide with these 30 satellites. And here on the bottom right, you have the top view of a satellite passing the grounds already connected and grabbing the information from the ground nodes. It actually works based on the store and forward. So then it will drop the information to our ground station. and it can be accessible through cloud, of course. So we plan to have these 30 satellites launched by the end of 2026, where we start the commercialization, and we will continue our launch after that. But 30 satellites will give us a good, actually good kick to start being commercialized and providing services for the potential IoT service providers, etc. So in terms of our existing and potential partners, we are accompanied by Paris Chamber of Commerce, and we have been supported by BPI France. So now we are looking mainly for strategic and industrial partners that can actually be whether in launching sectors, because now we have considered some launchers like ExoLaunch, Endorsat, etc. But we are actually happy to see if there are more options on the table, because we really aim to minimize the costs and maximize the scalability of our solution. So that would be one. And in addition to that, the telco companies who offer the IoT solution can benefit from our satellite solution, satellite services, like Orange in France, Sierra in Canada, BT in UK, ST Telecom, KT Corporation in Korea, etc. So we will be providing them with our widespread satellite solution and enable their clients to access reliable IoT connectivity, especially in the areas with limited terrestrial networks, such as healthcare, transport, and agriculture. In terms of the market size, we have witnessed a growth of over 21% annually, which brought the market size in 2022 from $1 billion to be projected in 2030 to be $5 billion. So it's a hugely growing market. And as I mentioned, we cannot be really comparable with the 5G, 6G technologies, because we are really targeting the isolated and underserved areas, and we are trying to promote connectivity and safety to these sectors, actually the industries that work in this areas. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any question, I'll be at your disposal.
Donald is raising its hand.
Yeah, I have a question. Fantastic service. Do you know, is it wideband or narrowband? Like, can it support video, or is it just very narrowband IoT? Is it as good as Starlink in terms of capacity, uplink capacity?
It is a narrowband technology, and we have actually optimized our application for IoT. We had a project called Kits for Dual Use Application, for instance, when we talked to our potential clients in Canada, and all they wanted was like few hundred kilobit per second of data communication. So we do not support high volume videos. We are not aiming for that. We are really aiming to for SOS system, healthcare, agriculture, just to provide some sort of essential connectivity for remote areas. So I hope I answered your question. And regarding the Starlink, it's actually they are more of an internet satellite provider, which is quite different. So energy consuming, high power, expensive. For us, our technology is, because we fall within the scope of LPWAN, low power wide area network, we are very low power, and we are compatible with energy harvesting technologies, such as using solar cell on the nodes, on the ground nodes. So it can communicate for 5 to 10 years with just very, very low power. Actually, it's not comparable. It's ideal for remote areas where you don't have people to go back and forth to, do some maintenance or anything. So
Okay, so it's not really tuned then for telemedicine, because telemedicine would have video and it would have sensors turned on and turned off. So probably it's not tuned for telemedicine.
We target some particular application in healthcare, and I can elaborate on that on a separate meeting, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Great. I don't know if there is any other question.
If there's a question, please unmute and don't hesitate to ask. So I think we have also a consortium building session for you scheduled. You can see this online.
Perfect.
So please don't hesitate to join Saba's session. So thank you for your presentation. It was a very beautiful presentation. I liked it a lot.
Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. It was a pleasure.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, so then I think we can close the session now. I think we had quite a lot of presentations, and I would like to encourage you to visit again our website to get all the presentations and the details on the consortium building timings. And just contact us if you have further questions, either under office at Celtic Next, where we are all available, or directly to Reinsch at Celtic Next. And if your consortium building session is not yet scheduled, you should directly contact Mrs. Ellen Tallas. Okay, so then I would like to thank everyone for presenting today. And yeah.
So thank you, Christianne, for the session and the very interesting presentations from the people teaching. We can have a short wrap-up of the day. You have seen what Celtic Next was, what we are proposing to you in terms of calls. You are applying, hopefully, to our Spring Call 2024. Important point is to contact public authorities in the countries that are relevant to your consortium, so that you get early information and guidance for your proposal at national level, but also for the information you need to put in the proposal for Celtic. The deadline is on the 3rd of May. We will then examine your proposal. Just already now, but we will correct it. It's not the 7th of June, the labeling decision communication, but most probably around the 17th. So number one was missed in the beginning of the date. So interesting pitches. Please attend to the pitching session, consortium building sessions organized by Christianne and Ellen, so that you can bring your ideas also to the existing ideas that you have seen today, bring your power together and make good proposals. So thanks a lot for your attendance. If you have any question, you can send them to office@celticnext.eu or event@celticnext.eu. Otherwise, I wish you a good rest of the day and successful proposals. Thank you.